Hey, I'm Jayson Warner Smith, and I'm here on Hellblazer Biz with Chris Gordon.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, listeners and viewers, wherever you are in the world right now. You're tuned in to Hellblazer Biz with me, Chris Gordon, coming to you as a gold partner with the BS Podcast Network. If you go to bspodcastnetwork.com, and you'll see all the other great podcasts out there, give them a listen. There's some fantastic ones. Today, I also offer you the new staff, my Patreon as well, which you might have seen on Twitter and on my website, offering to be people to become patrons of the show. If you can check Twitter or my website for further details. But basically, I think it's $1, $5, or $10 a month, and you get perks as well, from T-shirts and mugs, right through to having the chance for me to dial you live on Skype whilst I'm interviewing, and you can ask your questions direct to the guest and be a guest of mine as well on Hellblazer Biz. I really appreciate the support to turn this into a TV show. It's a dream of mine, and I really, really hope one day it'll come true. So thank you, and just tuning in and listening is also, and sharing out as well. That's all the support I could ask for, so thank you so much. Anyway, back to today's show. Today I bring to you a saviour from the worldwide hit TV show The Walking Dead. I had a colleague of his on, Blaine Rincon, the other week, and this guy's got his own hashtag of Team Gavin. Tonight I'm proud to introduce to you Jayson Warner Smith. Okay, so good day everyone. I have the honour of Jayson Warner Smith with me here. Hey Jason.
Hey, how's it going, Chris?
I'm great, thank you. And I can see, as we've just been talking, it's a lovely day out in Atlanta, and it's a lovely day in North Wales.
It is. It's a beautiful day here. It's a little warm, but it's nice. It's very nice.
That's great. I actually went for a cycle ride at 6 a.m. this morning. I live 400 metres from the beach, so I've decided to get out and lose weight. I look like the Michelin Man. so yeah, I was up at 6 a.m. There was a lovely sunrise. I got a lovely picture of a gorgeous sunrise right over the sand and the sea. It was just stunning.
Oh, wonderful.
Cool. So anyway,
I'm jealous.
I'm jealous of Atlanta. You get the sun more than we do.
Yeah, probably so. Well,
you get with zombies kind of walking around over there. Though. It's kind of rife in Atlanta.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, cool. As you know, I've got some questions for you anyway that I just want to sort of find out a bit more about yourself and
sure
your character and hopefully where you might be going.
Okay. Well,
for as much as you can say, because obviously you can't. Yeah. There's a lot you can't say, which is fair enough, and I'm not going to pry and get you in trouble. I've got some basic general questions at the moment, which all right, cool. How old were you when you got into acting?
How old was I when I got into acting? I was 9, actually. Mm-hmm. There was it was called the South Cobb, which is the county I lived in, Cobb County. So the South Cobb Art Alliance was a group of well-meaning ladies wanting to get more culture in the lives of their children, and so they would do art shows and things like that. And they decided to have drama camp one summer or spring or something like that, and for a few weeks we would just go in and hang out with these probably teenagers and young 20-something people that were teaching us drama and things like that, and we'd do skits and stuff. And they decided to do a full-length play, and we were a bunch of kids doing there's a musical version of the Chester the Cricket story, and we did that play, and some of the older kids did a play, and did it for our parents basically. And that's when I got started, and I enjoyed it. It was fun. And so, I did it again as soon as I got a chance. They did it one every spring, like for the next 5 years, and I was just always involved in it, and I enjoyed it.
Excellent. And that's kind of what made you want to get into it to a career, is it, yeah?
Hang on, there's a smudge on my lens there. There we go. Yep. Yeah, and, I had, I guess I was 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, that age range. And so you had, where I grew up, I had a pretty sheltered lifestyle, middle-class family in the suburbs of Atlanta, Georgia. and I was in the Boy Scouts, and there was baseball and basketball and all that, and I sucked at sports, and I really enjoyed being in the theater. That very first play that I did, I had one of the main roles in it, and it was a lot of fun. But like I said, we were just kids.
Yeah.
But then the next year I didn't get a big role, and the next year I was in the background again, and I kept being put into the background and not having the big role, and I didn't like that. So I guess my sense of vengeance to get back and up in the front just kept me motivated, and I just enjoyed it. It's like the one thing I was kind of good at, and I had a vivid imagination. I was a late bloomer, and I like playing in the backyard, and so this was like playing in the backyard with a bunch of other people, and kept doing it. Did it into high school, and then I moved into college, and on and on. Just kept doing plays. I just enjoyed doing it.
Excellent. Kind of sounds very much like my early life. I was sucked at sports as well, so I took up drama. When I was, I think I was about 8. 8 or 9. They used to call me Bilbo because my feet were a little bit big and they had the hairs growing on them. I'll never forget that. But we did a TV skit. There's something called Blue Peter over here. It's a kids show, and it's like they do the preparations and then they come out and it's like, here's one we prepared earlier, and it's a famous thing over in the UK. I had one line, and it was, and I forgot. I got on the screen. It was like, so I did theatre in school, studied it in school, and my parents steered me towards a sensible career when I was a bit older, when it was time for exams. So that sadly dropped off. But I loved Shakespeare. I did Macbeth at university, pantomime dames at university as well, which was hilarious. But yeah, they kind of dropped off again until now. 20 years later, I'm starting to pick it up again.
Okay,
so that's
cool.
why I like enjoying talking to people like yourself who I learn from. So yeah, it's it's great to hear how you started into. It's lovely just to hear the parallels of people's lives. It's great.
Well, you do what you love to do and just keep doing it. That's what life's all about, as far as I'm concerned.
It is, definitely. Were there any actors kind of who inspired you when you were younger? Who thought you?
Well. No, I could make up something right now, but I wouldn't say so much an actor or in particular that inspired me. I never thought I would ever do anything other than theater work. I just, to be on film or television was never something that I considered even a possibility.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I was in my 20s and stuff, and there were a few talent agencies here in Atlanta, and I got signed up with one, but there wasn't anything happening here.
Yeah.
There was, a movie would come to town once every year or two, and then they started making they made a television series out of In the Heat of the Night, which was here for a long time. I auditioned for it a few times, never got on it. And then there was another one, I'll Fly Away, which was and they were Southern-based dramas, and so they shot them here. And I don't know, it wasn't until later, in the last 10 years, that I started really paying attention to other people who'd gone before me, and people I kind of was like, I could follow their path.
Yeah.
And one of them you may or may not have heard of him, is an actor named Ray McKinnon, who's also from Georgia, and he's also the creator and showrunner of a TV show that I got to be on called Rectify.
Oh, yeah.
And I met Ray in the early 90s, weirdly enough, in Los Angeles. I lived in Los Angeles for 3 years in the early 90s, and Ray was very good friends with a guy named Walton Goggins, and Walton and I were friends back then through another guy. Anyway, but Ray kind of had his act together, and he was tall and skinny and goofy looking like me, and I was like, well, if this guy can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
So I just need to hunker down, and it didn't happen for me like it did for him at the time, and it was many years later before anything started to happen, and my biggest break, I would have to say, finally came because of Ray. And he created this television show called Rectify, and through a long story I won't bore you with, I finally got an audition for it, and ended up booking the role that I played on there for 2 years, a guy named Wendell.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm still not as good an actor as Ray, but I'm glad to have been able to work with him.
Yeah, fair enough. That's, I mean, I've just started to watch Rectify. It's been on my list for ages. I had JD, old JD Evermore's, but I always say old. He's not old. I mean, JD Evermore.
He's old. He's ancient.
He was on it 2 years ago. He's one of my first ever guests because of Constantine, because he was rolling that.
Right.
So we've kept in touch, and hopefully getting Clayne Crawford in about a month or two when he starts Lethal Weapon 2 again. So
right.
yeah,
He just had an exciting weekend. Yeah, he was driving a NASCAR at Talladega. Yeah,
I saw that.
Jealous.
Oh yeah, that looks amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, it'd be like a nice little Rectify as well.
Cool.
Area. So I keep hearing obviously from JD and people about it. So I think I'm only on episode 3. I'm very far behind, should I say? Since
you need to catch up.
I do. Yeah.
Catch up. It's a good show.
Yeah, it is. I'm gripped by it. It's such a fantastic concept, and
and it's funny is that one of the guys that's one of the main producers on The Walking Dead is a fellow named Tom Luse.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my neighbors decided to start blowing the leaves off his yard. Can you hear that?
Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry.
Okay.
It's faint.
Man. All right. So anyway, and so I was actually working on The Walking Dead yesterday, and Tom was there, and I didn't realize, but he's very good friends with Ray McKinnon as well. And when Ray had wanted him to produce Rectify, and he was unable to do it at the time, and so. It's kind of a small little southern world we got here. It's a good one. It's a good one.
Definitely, it's nice to have a little nice network like that where you can trust each other and move on. And I mean that's the thing with Atlanta as well, because like you said, this didn't start out that way, but it's definitely becoming a hub of film and activity.
It's crazy.
Loads seem to be going on in Atlanta now. It's just
I would have never predicted this. I mean, I'd pretty much given up on the whole thing and was just going to do theater here in Atlanta. And be happy with that, and had a regular job, and then everything just kind of showed up, and I was like, well, I guess I better get back in this, and it's gone pretty well, so I'm very happy.
Excellent. Kind of a question spurning off that is, what do you prefer, treading the boards or behind the scene, in front of the camera?
The camera, the boards, definitely the boards. Yeah, we did a friend of mine and I it's his school where I teach, a guy named Rob Mello. He and I and another actress named Heather Rule did a staged reading of David Mamet's Speed the Plow about 2 weeks ago. And Robert and I had been in the play together about 5 years ago. And we just did it with the scripts in our hands. We did it as a fundraiser to help make some money for the theater for 2 nights, and it was like, oh yeah, I've forgotten how fun this is. It's so much more fun doing a play. Because working in front of the camera it's fun as well, but it's just so completely different. You have, for instance, the scene that we've been, I've been working on this last week for The Walking Dead. We did the same scene 50 times over and over again to get all the camera angles for all the different people in it. And, it's fun, but it's just like, it's monotonous after a while. And then you got to keep bringing that performance. And there's no audience. There's no applause. There's no bows at the end. It's just like, all right, you can go home now. All right, see you guys next week, So, but everything that comes with film and television, though, is quite wonderful, which is things like this. And getting to travel around the world to locations and do exciting things. I was in Colombia, South America 2 years ago, flying around in planes, making a movie and stuff like that, and you're not really going to get to do that in the theater. Yeah. So there's good and bad in both areas. The theater is wonderful, but unless you're on Broadway, there's just no money in it. Or you can do regional theater and things like that, but it's a tough gig. It's a tough gig.
It is, definitely. I think so. I mean, theatre's great as well because like you say, every night you've got a different audience.
And a different show.
I mean, I spoke to a guy. He's I don't know if you've ever heard of Mrs. Brown's Boys. Have you heard of it out there?
Sounds
comedy
familiar.
show, Irish comedy show.
No. All right.
Again, it's another huge thing over in the UK. But I had one of those guys on, and he was hilarious. But he was telling me he's obviously theatre is very much theatre. That's where they started, comedy theatre. Yeah. And it was they changed the show every night. And I think he said the guy who writes it, Brendan O'Carroll, had said they need to mix it up every day. He goes, because you might be performing this for the 6th or 7th time, but it's the first time that audience are seeing it.
Right.
So to keep it, and it's a nice perspective to have. It's true of every theatre performance. You go out there knowing that this is a new performance. It's a new.
You never know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you cock up on the stage, you've had it. Whereas in film, you can at least retake.
Let's do it again. Let's try that again. Yeah. Yeah. And in film and TV, really, it's a director and an editor's medium at the end of the day. I mean, we still have to do our performances, but then we're done. Yeah. And then they edit and change it and put things together the way they want and cut and paste, and so. It pays well, and I'm not knocking it, but it's definitely not the same experience.
No. I did an indie film. Sorry about me. An indie film last year. I was a 20-line featured extra, which I was chuffed about. My first ever one. I didn't get paid for it. It was expenses only, but I didn't care because it's an experience. And you're right. I was there for 12 hours for 2 scenes. One of them, as you say, got filmed about 25 times, which was it's going to be less. I think it's going to be a 60-second scene. Yeah, it's very. You're right.
People have no idea what it takes to make film and television, especially a big TV show like The Walking Dead. I mean, it's just
I can imagine.
There's 200 people there working. It's just, and everybody's getting paid. It's just a lot of people. It's a very expensive process.
Definitely, there's a lot of standing around as well.
Yeah, there's some for us, for the actors, but for everybody else, they're working their asses off.
Oh, God, the people behind the camera, definitely. They're running around.
Oh, my God. I don't know how they do it.
No.
They get there before us, they leave after us, and they work twice as hard. It's crazy.
Yeah. I've had people on before who do costume, been in costume on screen, and they say, they might get in there 4 a.m., but they said, don't forget, the makeup artists are there at 2 a.m., and they leave 2 hours after everyone. Oh, yeah.
Right.
So it's Walking Dead's the same. So, yeah. Cool. Okay, what's your kind of favourite director that you've got out there that you might like to work with?
Well, I've had several really great experiences with some really fun directors. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed working with Ray McKinnon and Scott Teems and Stephen Gyllenhaal on Rectify. I worked with them most. They were my director most of the time. Yeah. You have a different director in every episode on television, usually. Mm-hmm. Ray was always there, but then there'd also be a director. But Stephen Gyllenhaal, is Jake, and I forgot his sister's name. Maggie.
Maggie.
Jake and Maggie's father. Mm-hmm. He directed some episodes I was in. I really enjoyed working with a fellow named Antonio Campos on this movie called Christine with Rebecca Hall, an English lady. Mm-hmm. He was really fun. And then the craziest experience, though, was working with Doug Liman, who, if you've seen The Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise or Swingers, those movies, he directed this movie. It hasn't come out yet. It comes out in September, called American Made,
right?
That Tom Cruise is also in. And that was an experience. And the cinematographer was a guy named Cesar Charlone. Mm-hmm. And working with those two was really... It was quite a lot of fun. Doug is an interesting cat. He's got like 1,000-yard stare on him, and you're talking to him. He's looking you right in the eye, and you're like, "Is he listening? Is he even listening to me?" He is listening, but he's also got 3 other things going on at the same time.
Yeah.
But because I really enjoyed working with him, and I would do it again. Also enjoyed working with Ramin Barani. He was really cool. Mm-hmm. The movie called 99 Homes. It was a different kind of experience, a totally different kind of movie, but I enjoyed. He's very friendly and very intellectual, and really knew what he wanted. Mm-hmm. So those are some of my favorites so far.
All right, excellent. Is there anyone?
And Greg Nicotero. Hey, Greg, in case you happen to see this, I love you too, Greg.
Are there any that you'd really love to work with in the future? Any that you've not worked with already that you might want to?
Oh well, yeah. I mean, I would.
Lists endless.
Pipe dreams, yeah. Martin Scorsese and Francis Ford Coppola and J.J. Abrams and Woody Allen. I don't think I'll make it to the Woody Allen list. I don't think I'll make that. But Wes Anderson would be like, I just want to be in a Wes Anderson movie, and I would love to work with him. I don't see that ever happening. I don't think I'm going to be in his family, but he's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Those are like my tops. Who else? Who else do I really like these days? Those are the ones I can think of right now.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Good answers.
Yeah.
Okay. If you could cast...
Maybe Charlie Kaufman, just to see what that experience is like. Or David Lynch. Yeah, those two. I'd like to work with those two.
David Lynch, yeah. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Excellent. If you could cast yourself in any other TV show right now, what would it be and why?
Game of Thrones. Do I have to answer?
I was about to say, really? There's no even why there, is there?
Game of Thrones or a show like Black Sails, Westworld. I would love to be on, as far as TV shows are concerned.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have been on Sons of Anarchy. That would have been fun. I would love to work on Better Call Saul. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
It's the same production. It's the same producers that produce Rectify, so it'd be fun to hang out. Yeah, it's the same folks. I'm naming my favorite shows. Can you tell?
Not at all.
But yeah, or a movie, one of those like Stranger Things, the Netflix shows, The Crown.
Yeah,
those kind of shows would be fun to work on. But yeah, Game of Thrones would be freaking awesome. I don't know if they'll ever allow an American on there, but it'd be fun to do.
I'm sure there's a couple on there.
There's a couple, very few, and I can fool Americans with my English accent, but I don't think I could fool English people with my English accent. I'm not that good.
Well, there's always another. So, I'm sure there's another part of Westeros which has been undiscovered yet, which might have people with American accents.
Exactly. And I got to work with Maisie Williams on a movie, and so it'd be fun to hang out with her again. So. Oh,
cool! I've heard she's such a laugh as well.
Oh, she's a hoot, man. I was. We were working. She turned 18 on one day when we were working together. So, she's a firecracker, as we say down here in the South.
Excellent. But yeah, you're right. Game of Thrones. I mean, it's not filmed that far from me actually, and I keep meaning to go to Belfast and just hang out when they're filming. I mean, it's finished now, I think, though, sadly. So they've stopped the filming now. But it was filmed quite local. I got into it late as well. Which
is the one I'd like to work on.
Yeah, cool, excellent. And you also teach at a drama school as well in Atlanta. Blaine was telling me about.
I do. Yes. It's called the Robert Mello Studio for Acting. Or just the Robert Mello Studio. Robert Mello Studio. Robert Mello, it's Mello, like Mellow Yellow. And he and I met as actors working in a play together. And he, about, 4 years ago, he said, "You should start teaching, Jason." I'm like, no, Robert, those who can't do, teach. And those who can't teach well, teach Jim. I'm not going to be a teacher, man. And I said, I don't even know what I'm doing. How can I tell somebody else how to do it? So after a year of talking with him and contemplating it, I decided to just teach one little workshop, and it went pretty well. So I finally agreed to start teaching, and so it'll be 3 years come this November that I've been teaching.
Oh, brilliant!
And it's I teach in the actor world what's called Strasburg Method,
right?
Which has nothing to do. The whole method acting thing is just it's a misnomer. It's bullshit. But Strasburg was a guy who taught in New York City back in the mid 1900s, along with Stella Adler and Uta Hagen and Sanford Meisner and the rest of the gang.
Yeah.
And his style just kind of is. It's all the end of the day. It's all the same goal, which is to be real and imaginary circumstances. And it's Sanford Meisner's the one that said that, but it's the true across the board. And it's just one way of doing it, it's not that it's the best way or the only way, it's a way. And then I help people learn that one because that's the one I know the most about.
Okay, fair enough.
That's what I do. Yeah.
Excellent. That sounds really good. I mean, I know of the Meisner technique as well. So I know that one. So the Strasburg one will be interesting. How do people go about signing up for classes if they're in Atlanta?
Oh, sure.
I'll give you a plug.
The best way to do it is you send me an email to, it's my initials, JWS. Actually, no. God, I can't remember the email now. It's class inquiries jws@gmail.com.
Okay, there you go.
Double check that. But yeah, it's classinquiriesjws@gmail.com. Or you can go to the robertmellostudio.com website and go to the classes and then scroll down and you'll see my class. And there's a link to send an email. You send an email, we send an email back, and then they respond, and then we set up an interview. And then after the interview, if everything's groovy, then we put you in an orientation, and then you can start class.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Brilliant. If I was in Atlanta, I'd sign up.
Sorry?
I said if I was over in Atlanta, I would sign up. But,
oh, please, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got to say I missed out, sadly, tragic circumstances. Richard Hatch was on my show last year, the late, great Richard Hatch, and he was coming to the UK to do some classes. And he invited me to do them, and he invited me to do one-to-one sessions on Skype as well, acting classes via Skype. But unfortunately, sadly, his illness got the better of him.
Yes.
But yeah, I would have loved that. Would have been amazing.
Sure.
But, so yeah, I'm trying to find somewhere local. Atlanta's a bit far, I'm afraid.
It's a bit of a commute. Yes.
Yeah, just a tad.
Yeah. Well, just find something that's long-term, something you can continue to do. You can't learn to act in a weekend. You can't learn to act in 12 weeks. I mean, it's something you need to do ongoing. It's like playing an instrument. You could learn how to play the clarinet really well, but then you have to practice. Yeah. And it's best to practice in a classroom setting with an instructor that can watch you and give you pointers and things like that.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents on acting classes.
No, you're right. I do think you can't learn it in a weekend. It's takes years and years of practice.
Years and years. Yeah. And it's if I could be in a class right now, I would be. There's just right now there's not any classes that I really want to be in right here in Atlanta, or I have time to do.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. So moving on to some Walking Dead questions. These have all been.
Oh, okay.
These ones have been provided by mutual acquaintance Gay Martina. And the first one is: were you given any hint of Gavin's backstory to help you prepare for the role?
Not in the beginning. Not in the beginning. No. I mean, I'm trying to think back, because so much has happened since then. No, it was kind of interesting. Day one, showing up on set, and Greg Nicotero was directing. It was episode 702. We shot it as the third episode, but they ended up making it the second episode.
Right.
And and here we are. It's like go time, and I'm meeting King Ezekiel, played by Kari Payton, for the first time, and the rest of the Kingdom guys. Carlos and Carrie and Cooper, who plays Jerry, and Daniel, who plays Daniel, and he's just like, hey, Jayson, you're a savior. You watch the show, right? I'm like, yeah, I watch the show. He goes, all right, so you're that guy Simon. He's kind of a smart ass and blah blah blah. So, yeah, let's just try it like that. That's pretty much what I got. And I was like, well, you already have one of him. I don't think that's what I got hired for, to just be a copy of him. And he's extremely unique. I've been working with him this week, and Stephen Ogg, who plays that role, he's got his groove going. I don't want to just try to be like him. So my own personality comes through in it, and I think after we did the first episode and they watched it, when we got to the second episode, Jeff January was directing it. But the notes from Scott Gimple were, and this was an article written about this actually, that, you're a grumpy dad. Just play, you're a grumpy dad. You're at the park. You can't wait to go home. The kids are driving you nuts. And the kids being, Jared, played by Josh Michael, who's a pain in my ass. And so we just went with that. And that's kind of been the whole Gavin's milieu ever since. Is he's just kind of like over the whole thing. He's like, I don't have time for this shit. Let's just do what I say, and nobody gets hurt, and we'll all be fine. The backstory I kind of made up was that, like everybody else, I'd made it this far, 2 years into the apocalypse. I obviously can handle myself. Yeah. And so I just kind of took some things from my own background and said, well, he's probably really handy. He might have worked in home construction or something like that, and he was probably an Eagle Scout like I am. So, He's good with, knives and ropes, and he knows how to handle a gun, and he knows leadership, and that's why he's risen to a level of leadership.
Yeah.
And one of the few things I got was, basically to have an outpost like I do is a promotion. So I started off, we don't know how I got to be with the Saviors. I mean, actually, I do know, but I can't talk about it. Sorry. But, I would say in this part, I don't know, I'm making this part up, is that, you have to work your way through the system. And I was good, and I did well, and I am Negan, and I did a good job. And so he's like, all right, put me in charge of a bunch of dudes and put me out at an outpost. What is that outpost? I think that's one of the questions you're probably going to ask is, we don't know. I have some information, but I don't think, who knows if we'll ever even go there. So at this point, it doesn't matter,
Cool.
We can speculate all kinds of things, but it's not the satellite place. That's a different place. It's somewhere completely different.
All right, excellent. Yeah, the question was, what kind of place do you think it would be?
I know, but I can't tell you.
I know.
Sorry. Yeah.
That's all right. No problem at all. I can understand that. So I don't want to get. It's like I said at the beginning. I don't want to get you in trouble.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, how do you feel about Team Gavin not being present at either the head bashing in the premiere or the big finale in the season 7 finale?
Well, I don't have a problem with the head bashing, because at that point they didn't even really, that's the thing. See, that's the whole setup is that Gavin and his crew we're autonomous, and we want to stay as far away from the sanctuary and Negan as possible, because that's just nothing but trouble. It's always, you never know what's going to happen with Negan. He gets to having a bad morning and just decide to take somebody out.
Yeah.
So the more we can stay away from there, and the more they leave us alone, as long as we get them the stuff they want and handle our people, then everything's fine. So the fact that we weren't called in for that is fine. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
As far as the big battle at the end, that's the thing. See, I mean, and this is, I don't have any inside information here. I'm just speculating off exactly what you saw and I saw, because once I finished episode 13, I didn't know what was happening next. They don't show me those scripts.
Right.
Is that Negan doesn't even know about the kingdom, or if he does, he doesn't know much about it.
Right.
He didn't know that it's about a tiger or King Ezekiel or these people with horses and hockey pads and all that stuff. So that's the big surprise. And so I'm not sure where that's going to go. I haven't been given any information yet of when Negan's going to come up to me and go, why the hell didn't you tell me about these people? And I'm speculating that if that does happen, that I'll be like, look, dude, I just met them in a parking lot and they brought me stuff. I never went to their place. I don't know. It worked well. Everybody was happy. So I don't know what's going to happen there. I don't know.
Just pray that Negan doesn't have a bad day that day.
Right. Well, and now that all that's fallen apart, obviously we're not going to be having any more exchanges with them now that we're at war.
Yeah.
So, who knows what's going to happen? At this point, I know some things that are going to happen, but again, I can't tell you. So. Well, I don't want to tell you. It'd ruin it for you.
Well, of course it would. We don't want
everybody wants to know, but you really don't. You don't really want to know.
That's one thing I always do on these chats that I have with people like yourself. Is like I never try and get spoilers because I don't want to know. I don't want to.
What's the point?
Exactly.
Yeah, and you can go back and look at the comics and look at the show, and they stayed pretty close to the bone, but they're still. My character's made up, So that whole outpost exchange thing, that's all made up. That's not in the comics. But, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yep, that's a nice tight-lipped answer. But that's the way, like I said, it's like I don't push for spoilers because it's pointless. What's the, why... I always hate that on Facebook and things like that as well, or Twitter, and you see... My problem is in the UK is my favourite shows, like The Walking Dead, you've got Lucifer's another one, they're always showing the US the night before. And, I can't, when I'm working, I can't stay up late to watch them when they come over. And I go onto Twitter in the morning, and all the cast,
there it is.
All the fans have all just live tweeted the whole episode, and it's like, cheers. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Well, see, I have to be careful. I'm a Formula One fan, and so
Right.
I've had to like delete all my Formula One Twitter accounts during the season
Mm-hmm.
because it spoils. Because the races come on at 1:00 in the morning over here.
Yeah.
So I DVR the thing and then I watch it the next day at my leisure, and I don't want it to be ruined because if you know who won the race, it kind of ruins the whole damn thing.
Oh yeah.
You know? So yeah, and I've screwed that up a few times. It's like, oh damn it, shoot! You know, you see it and you're like, well, I don't have to watch that now.
Oh yeah.
So I know the feeling.
Yeah, we've got a few shows like that over here, and it's like you wake up in the morning, I turn the news on. It's like I'm X Factor type. We don't watch the X Factor, we used to. It's like you wake up on the next morning, it's like the news headline is such and such one. It's like, well, that's just
You got to just tune out.
Yeah, don't need to watch that anymore. Yeah, I kind of blank those tweets now, and I just avoid social media till I've seen the episode.
There you go. That's what you have to do.
It's what you do have to do. Cool. Also, will you be hosting a screening party down the pub for the season 8 premiere?
Probably. That's October. You know, who knows if I'll even be in town that night. But if I am, we'll probably get something together. Sure, why not?
Excellent.
Yeah.
So that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
October, we can have an Oktoberfest down there too.
Yeah.
Sink a few jars. Cool. Also, how would you feel about doing some fan conventions? This is from Gay as well. I know what we were talking about.
Yeah, I would love to. You know, I'm going to be in Pensacola, Florida in February. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be doing I forgot what they call it now, but here in Atlanta they have these movie tours where you can like come for the weekend and they put you in a van and drive you around to all these locations. I'm going to be on the van with some people on June 10th.
Oh, smart.
It's an expensive weekend though. It's like $700 or something like that. And
wow.
Yeah, but I'll on Saturday, June the 10th, I'll be in the bus with everybody and go to the sites and answer questions, take pictures, have lunch with everybody. Mm-hmm. And then I'll be in jolly old England in September, but officially not announced yet, so we won't go into details there. But I'll be there for a couple of weekends in September.
Fantastic.
And I would love to do some of that. I'm hoping it's a long shot, but I'm hoping that I might, since I live here in Atlanta, that maybe they'll let me come to Walker Stalker Atlanta in September, or October, right before the show premieres. But we'll see.
Oh, that'll be cool. That's another dream, going to Walker Stalker in Atlanta where it's filmed.
Yeah.
That'd be brilliant. Excellent.
There you are.
Yeah, cool. I've got a question two more questions. One's from Simon Barry Budisbois.
Okay.
And do you have any more upcoming gigs in TV shows or films?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I have a film called American Made, which comes out September 29th in the United States, and I think it's actually going to open a week earlier or so in Europe.
Okay.
So I don't know if England's part of Europe anymore. You guys can't seem to make up your mind.
Oh, we're always part of Europe. It's just not the EU.
I know. So look for that when it stars Tom Cruise. He's the big star in it, and directed by Doug Liman. And so that I have a pretty good part in that. I play a smuggler flying single-engine planes, and I work with Tom Cruise and some other guys.
Cool.
Other than that, no, I don't have anything else lined up. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping to shoot a movie in Texas this summer, but we're trying to get the scheduling worked out with The Walking Dead right now to see if we can make that happen.
Yeah.
But no, everything else has come out. Last fall, Christine and The Book of Love and The Birth of a Nation were films that I shot. They all came out last year. So not much else in the pipeline right now.
Excellent. What was it like filming with Tom Cruise and doing scenes with him?
Oh, it was exciting. Talk about, because he's only like maybe 1 or 2 years older than I am. So he was kind of my age when he became a movie star. So you asked me earlier, was anyone that I never said, I want to be Tom Cruise, but I was like, maybe that, I was like, man, it'd be cool. I'd like to do that, or, hang out with that guy. Yeah. And then, we heard that he was coming to Atlanta to make a movie, and it was like, oh my gosh, let's hope I get an audition for that. And then, I auditioned, this is to give you an idea, I auditioned about 110 times in 2016. I got 3 jobs. Yeah. So we auditioned a lot. Mm-hmm. And that was in 2015 when we made that movie, and I'd done a little better that year. But, just the odds. And I was in the right place with the right look and the right essence that the director liked, and I got to work with him. I'm not answering your question. What was it like working with Tom Cruise? It was like any other job, except every day you come to work and it's like, oh, there's fucking Tom Cruise. There he is. He's right there touching my hand. Hi, good morning. Good to see you. He's just a regular guy. I mean, obviously he's not a regular guy. He's like one of the most giant superstars on the planet as far as movies are concerned. Yeah. I think the reality check, this was a funny story. The reality check with him was, we worked together week after week on this movie, and he's just a regular guy. We're hanging out. He doesn't have lunch with us, but he's friendly. He's not like asking me about my life or anything. We're not having long conversations. We're working. Yeah. And it was, he was like, we finished this one scene. He's like, all right, guys, we'll see you guys tomorrow. I got to run. And I found out we were in, north of the suburbs of Atlanta. Yeah, working at an airport. We're shooting at an airport, and he says, I gotta run to Arizona. I'll see y'all tomorrow. And he walks out and gets in his Gulfstream and takes off. We're like, yeah, he's not a regular guy. Yeah. He's Tom Cruise. And then the next morning he was back. He had to go to Arizona. So, but yes, he's very professional, very prepared, and is ready to work. Just go. That's how he operates.
All right, excellent. Yeah. You hit a hair thing which just comes up many times, is how a lot of people don't realise how hard it is in the acting world. Like you say, you could have, for every role that you have, there's 100 where they've just auditions to get the one role that people see you in, and it's a very cutthroat and tough business, and and discussed before.
You're breaking up there. Say again.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's a very cutthroat business, so something that's been discussed before is the passion, and I think that's what you have to have, that passion, because if you don't have the passion for what you do and what you love, then you could very easily just fall by the wayside and give up.
Oh yeah, and I tell more than 50% of my students are younger. They're in their 20s and early 30s, and then there's a few of us that are closer to my age. And I tell them, I say, I feel bad for you young people, because everyone's young, they're passionate, you're beautiful people, you're sexy and pretty and young, and there's thousands of you who are still after it. But if you can stick around as long as me, they either quit or die, and then it gets easier because there's not so much competition. And if you can stay in it, but it's very unfair to women. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's an unfair advantage that men have in the business, because we age and nobody cares, and women age and they get upset about it. I don't know. She's old and ugly. I don't want to look at her. And it's a subjective business. I'm not saying it's right. Yeah. I'm not saying it shouldn't be changed, but it is the way it is right now. And it's hard. But yeah, you gotta, I tell everybody, it's like, look, if all these things that we're doing, the auditioning, the constant rehearsals and practices, and the constant rejection day after day after day after day, if that's not fun for you, quit. Quit now. Do something else. Be an accountant. Whatever that other thing is that you love, go do it, because this never ends. Yeah. And I talked to Doug Lyman about that. He goes, "Oh, there's no day when this ends." He goes, even from the director and the player and the screenwriter point of view, we're pitching every day, pitching. There's no one day when somebody takes you by the arm and takes you into the secret chamber and says, "Okay, you've made it. Here, this is how it really works." That doesn't exist. No. It's a constant struggle. It never ends.
I'm finding that myself doing this show 2 years now. And I'm working my way. But and I was telling someone today, because obviously yourself on, and I was talking to someone, and I said what people don't emphasise is not exactly the same, but it's very similar. But for every guest like yourself, where I come and have a great chat with, there's probably about 70 or 80 I've been messaging, or publicists I spoke to who just don't answer, or the publicists say thanks but no thanks. And it's. You're right. I don't get money for this. This is my hobby. So this is pure passion. I'm hoping to. I've got a pitch and everything for a TV show, and I've got people I'm working with in the right. I've got people in various aspects of the industry. I'm trying to helping me out. So that's what my aim is and my goal. But
good.
It does. It's the passion that pushes you on, because you're right. If you don't have the passion, there's plenty of times when I would have just given.
It's too hard.
So I can totally relate and understand how it is for someone like yourself who's doing it professionally, and it gives more respect, for you as well, because you can see obviously you're working through all that, and
sure,
definitely higher respect. Well, that kind of you're welcome. That kind of brings me to the end of my questions. So, is there anything you want to say to the fans quickly before I stop the recording?
Just thank you so much for watching The Walking Dead. I never thought I'd be a part of such a global phenomenon as this. I'm still kind of baffled by the whole thing. Of course, I started watching this show in the very beginning because they shot it right here in my home state. Mm-hmm. And I was fascinated by it. Mm-hmm. I don't really like all the gore, honestly. It kind of turns me off. I fast forward through those bits. But then I started auditioning for it, and so I kept watching it, and I got hooked on it. And now I'm totally, totally pulled into the soap opera that it is. And I'm still amazed that so many people like it so very much. I don't quite understand it, but I'm happy that they do. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for letting me be a part of this, and we'll see how long it lasts. And most importantly, next time I see any of you, I want a cantaloupe. Just one. No more, no less. That's it. Ciao.
Thank you so much, Jayson. Great answers and an insight into the career of an actor and how to train to be one, or be a better one. I truly appreciate your time, and thank you to all of you for listening or viewing. Without you, this show goes nowhere. It's always been a privilege to be able to bring to you these interviews to you. This has been Chris Gordon on Hellblazer Biz with The Walking Dead's Jayson Warner Smith.